Welcome, everybody. This is Scentsy Virtual World Tour breakout session that would have been presented in Omaha, Nebraska. I am your hostess with the mostest. My name is Alyssa DeSare, and I was going to present to you all Fear Up, Tear Up, and Gear Up. So we are getting the opportunity to record our presentations and allow you the opportunity then to go back and replay those videos for your virtual learning experience. I'm very excited to do this video for you folks. I know that a lot of you are excited as well to get this training and these opportunities. So glad it's working out for everybody, and I'm excited to share with you what I have. Part of what we were going to do was a little activity that started off our breakout session. And if you weren't a part of this and you happen to see this video on YouTube, you can certainly go along. You don't need the workbook or any of that kind of stuff to do any of the stuff that we're going to do today. This will apply to any types of parts of your life that you may have some struggles or some fears that you're dealing with. So, let's get started. How's that sound? Excuse me. So, what we're going to do first, and we were going to do this as well, was we're going to take out our workbooks, and Fear Up, Tear Up, and Gear Up is on page 16 of your workbook. And what I was going to have you folks do is write down your fear. Let that fear be anything related to your business, anything related to your family, financially, if you're struggling and having a fear, just anything that is maybe a fear of yours. It could even be that you're afraid of snakes and spiders. Who isn't afraid of snakes and spiders? I don't know too many people who aren't, but go ahead here right off the bat, and I'm going to have you pause me and take a moment and just think of a fear that you want to focus on for the next 30 minutes, because by the end of this presentation, you will have enough stuff in order to go ahead and get rid of that fear or begin the process of untraining your body and your mind when it comes to that. So, go ahead and pause me now, and when we come back, we will keep moving on. Okay, we're back. All right, guys, so you've got your fear. Now, what we're going to do with that is we are going to discuss some common fears and some busting of those fears to get your wheels turning, to get your mind turning on things that you could do for your own fear. That might not be related to these topics. It might be related to these topics, but these are the most common fears that I hear in our type of business or direct sales world. So, whoever has heard of the fear, I don't have enough time to do that. I have. Yes, I don't have a time. So, here's what I challenge everyone to do. I challenge them to figure out, well, where are you spending your time? Okay? And the way we figure that out is we're going to do a math problem. Who knew you're going to do math today, right, guys? So what we're going to do is we're going to start with 168 hours. 168 hours represents 7 days a week. So if we can break down our weekly schedules into hours, we can find out where our gaps are and why we think we don't have enough time. So first things first, okay? We've got 168. We're going to subtract out 40 hours of work. Most of us work 40 hours a week, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, or some variation of that. So right off the bat, we're subtracting 40. Then we're going to subtract 40 hours of sleep time. Now, some people sleep less, some people sleep more. But on average, most people get about 8 hours of sleep. From there, we eat about 14 hours a week. That's 2 hours a day. That's a lot of time to be sitting around eating. So we're going to use the average of 14 hours of eating. We're going to do 2 hours of church. Not everybody goes to church. That's okay. You can use that 2 hours for something else. Maybe you do something else during the day, during the week, that takes up 2 hours of your time. But 2 hours for church, in our example. We are going to take 14 hours for family. Now, again, this is just an example. Some people may say, well, 14 hours with my family is not enough. I need more time with my family. Well, that's fine, but remember, you probably can count some of the time for eating, right? Because you're probably eating with your family some of that time. And there's other things that you could be using as well to double up on family. But 14 hours of family, probably 2 hours from 7 to 9 or 6 to 8 at night, where most of us are spending our 2 hours with our family per day. We're going to do 10 hours at the gym. A lot of people love going to the gym, but they're probably only going to the gym Monday through Friday, and 2 hours a day is still a lot of time. So 10 hours for the gym for the week. Okay? And then my favorite, 10 hours of driving time. I live quite a way away from where I work. It's generally 35 to 45 minutes for me to get to and from where I'm going. So 10 hours in the car driving. That's a lot of time. I could be doing something with that time, like listening to a podcast or listening to an educational book, inspirational book, things of that nature, to try and pass on that time instead of turning on the radio. But when we do all of that, when we add all those together, guess what, guys? We still have 38 hours of unaccounted time left. So then the question is, well, what are we doing with that time? Well, I know what 1 hour is spent on. I spend 1 hour a week watching Survivor. Who doesn't like Survivor? Some of you are probably watching a different series. That's okay. That still leaves 37 hours of unaccounted time. That is a significant amount of time. That is an entire day where we are not utilizing our time wisely. So, by doing this activity, it is certainly going to put you in a position that's going to allow you to figure out where are your time gaps. All right? So that's our first fear, is I don't have enough time. Okay? The next fear we're going to discuss is the one where people tell you, I don't know anybody. Oh gosh, really? In the world of social media today, do you have Facebook? I know there's the 1% world out there who doesn't have a social media account, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. My brother doesn't have Facebook, so I get it. I know there are people out there that don't have Facebook. But if you have Facebook, you know people, okay? If you work a job, you know people. If you go to the grocery store, you're likely to know somebody. You don't have to physically know them. You don't have to have a physical relationship with them. But you're interacting with people every day. As long as you get out of your bubble, you're going to interact with somebody. Here is what it comes down to. The reason why you say you don't know anybody, and the reason that's a fear for you, is because the people you do know, you're judging them. You're judging them. Period. You are thinking, you know what? I do know people, but that person would not want to buy from me. Or that person can't afford Scentsy stuff. But who are you to judge whether they can afford it or not? Who are you to decide if they would want something or not that we have to offer? That's not up for us to decide. That's up to them to decide. So by sharing is caring. And if you continue to share your love for Scentsy and the products we have, and stop judging the people we know, somebody is watching always. Alright, guys? So let's not limit ourselves to who we know based on what we think about that person. Alright. We got a couple more here. Here's another good one. I'm not a salesperson. gosh, you know what? I'm not a salesperson either. I'm really not. I don't know a lot of Scentsy people who are salespeople. Some of them are. I met a couple in Minneapolis who are. Pete and Lynn. You guys know Pete and Lynn. They were the Right on Target breakout session. Boy, they changed my mind on being a salesperson or not, for sure. But I still don't think that a lot of people are salespeople at heart. And so, you know, what we really are we are dealers of hope and potential. We use Scentsy as a tool to share the business opportunity and the products we love. What our goal is to provide joy in people's life by using fragrance and making memorable moments with that fragrance system. Now, granted, I didn't say wax and warmers because we have so many different fragrance lines, right? Where that still can trigger a joy or a moment or a memory for your customer or your consumer. So it's not necessarily about the fact that we're just sharing and selling wax and warmers. It is so much more than that. There's so much more out there that you can build your business off of. It doesn't have to be wax and warmers. Yeah, that's our core, that's our bread and butter, but Scentsy has done an amazing job of providing us with other opportunities to get our business products into their hands to provide the best experience possible through fragrance. Okay, so let's focus on the fact that it's fragrance and it's not wax and warmers. All right, here's another really good one that I think a lot of people have a misguided conception of. I don't have any money. Scentsy is not in a place where you need money. I didn't have any money when I joined. In fact, I think I spent the last $50 I had that month on a half kit join month, and now I'm a director. So you definitely don't need Scentsy money to do Scentsy. Okay. That is also why Scentsy offers the host join flip kit, right? First you host a party. Your sponsor supports you in that hosting process. You gather enough orders. You gather enough where it's going to cover your entire kit, right? So you get 500 in orders. Now your $59 host kit is paid for. Easy as that, right? So now you flip that PRV to you. That's a $100 paycheck right off the bat because you sold 500 in Scentsy, and you're gonna get a paycheck the next month for $100. So now you put money in your pocket. You didn't spend any money to join, and you got money to reinvest in yourself and buy business tools, right? Stamps, business cards, catalogs. Well, catalogs come with your kit. So, you know, you don't need money in order to start a Scentsy business and start making money. You just got to get out there, you got to apply yourself, and you got to collect orders. By collecting orders, sharing what you're doing, people are going to come. I heard Orville say this, you use Scentsy money on family, not family money on Scentsy. That's great, right? Write down what we need. Alright, so here's the deal, guys. Have you ever heard of the acronym FEAR is false evidence appearing real? So false evidence appearing real is fear. It's not true. It's things that you have done in your life that have created these anxieties or these thoughts that I don't like that. Okay? So we as humans are born with 2 fears in life. So you're allowed 2 fears in life, but they're already pre-picked for you. The fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. Any other fear that you have, that was a learned fear. You learned that. Kind of like when a little kid touches stove. He learns that that's hot. I fear that stove because I know it's hot, right? So fear of loud noises and fear of falling is all we got. Everything else is learned. Now, what we know about learning something is that we can unlearn it. We can unlearn it. If you could teach yourself how to learn something, you could teach yourself how to not know that that's something you learned in the past. So let's go through and let's start teaching ourselves how to unlearn things so that we can move on in our business, move on in our life, and live better. Live in no limits, right? All right, so at this point, I want you guys to pause again and write down any takeaways you've gotten for fear, and then we'll transition to more of the emotional side of fear and how that impacts our life. Pause. All right, guys. So now we're going to discuss a little bit more of the emotional side of how fear goes, and I'm going to tell you a couple stories, okay? So with the stories, I'm going to tell you about two people, and these people are very different, but yet they're very much alike. Person number one, we're just going to call them the emotional hot mess. We all like the word hot mess. We had a warmer that said hot mess on it. So let's embrace the hot mess, okay? So if you could imagine a decade of time, starting at the age of 19, this individual had a child. This child was left to live with her grandparents for 2 years while they spent 22 months in Iraq as an army soldier. After returning to a college lifestyle as a young 20-year-old, a single mother, those roles in life didn't mix. Single mother, college life. There was neglect, irresponsibility, lots of alcohol, aggressive behavior, and even a few bar brawling challenges. This activity went on for a decade, resulting in financially challenging situations and a young child feeling the burden through lonely behavior such as, I'm an inconvenience to my mom. Alright, person number two, the polished entrepreneur. You guys are going to like this person. This person was one that was driven for success, focused on debt management, and getting clear of corporate America so she could control her schedule and feel the freedom that is to come. We all know what that looks like. She was sober for 3 years, became what could be looked at as the perfect individual to sponsor, hitting shooting star, sensational start level 3, earning incentive trips, earning them for 2, double month promotions, going director with a team of 25, and so much more. Have you figured out who this person is yet? Well, if you haven't, that person was me. I was person number one, and I am person number two. So we all have a journey to go on, and we can all go through that journey and come out on the other end. Alright, these are chapters in my life. I struggled hard to fit in. I wanted to be a part of a team. I wanted to be likable by all people that I meet. And reality was, if we only do what the masses do, then we will only produce what the masses produce. So, I produced college debt. I watched TV all the time. I had credit card debt. I had very low self-motivation. I went to work, I ate, I slept, and then I chased after kids. That was not a life to live. However, if you step outside of your comfort zone, we've heard that before, and if you are willing to do what the masses are not willing to do, then and only then will you produce results worthy of the 1% successors in life. So, I want you guys to write a few things down. There's like 6 of them here. Write this down because people forget, paper remembers, always. Okay? Alright, so here are some suggestions. These are things I did to turn my life around after a decade of turmoil. I took the batteries out of the TV remote. I got rid of TVs in my house. We had a computer. That was it. I read a book. I read several books. They were all on how to make me a better person, how to inspire me. Books like Joyce Meyer. I listened to John Maxwell, and Eric Thomas, Les Brown, Rachel Hollis, people like that. Intentionally take opportunities to bring up business with a stranger. I was in the grocery store trying to figure out, I was looking for grapes, and there was like way more choices than there ever needed to be for grapes. And by the end of it, the lady next to me just started grabbing a grape out of each bag and testing them and eating them. I said, well, which one did you like? And she's like, I like these. I'm like, okay, then that's the ones I'm going to buy. And then I gave her a scent circle. I said, you know what, I appreciate your opinion on these grapes. I just wanted to share a little scent circle with you. I am in the business of fragrance, and I thought maybe you would enjoy it. And she was like, oh, this is amazing. And then we talked about business. You need to study your craft. You need to study your business. You need to study what's happening in the market just as much as Scentsy does to make sure that we are ahead of the curve and always on trend. We need to be studying that as well. We need to build a community. Okay? Manage mood-altering alternatives like alcohol. I'm not saying you don't have to give up alcohol or whatever extracurricular activity you do. However, manage it appropriately. By doing that, you'll put yourself in a better spot. I promise. I've been there. Alright, so here's the real deal. It's okay to be emotional when times get tough. When the struggle seems to be too real. Okay? It's not about if tragedy is going to strike, but when. Really. One thing I learned the hard way is when times get tough, I give myself permission to be emotional and to cry it out. But I don't dwell on things for more than 48 hours. I used to be that person where, as a woman and you know, as a crier, I would spend days in this deep depression, sad about an instant that isn't even going to matter in 5 years. So try not to dwell on things. Take advantage of the emotions and learn from them. But after a day or two, you gotta continue on with life, guys. You gotta move on. I had a drill sergeant who used to say, soldier, you'd better go cry those feelings out in the shower. Because when you're done with that shower, that's where those tears stay. When you come out of that shower, you're done. You need to move on. You need to suck it up and soldier up and move on. So that stuck with me for a long time. I still think about that on a regular basis. Alright guys, I've got one more story for you. Stick with me here. Then we're going to get up to the gear up part of it. Okay? So, that single mother child that I talked to you about, that was me. My daughter is now 15 years old. She's a freshman in high school. She's seen some really hard times and things a young girl her age should not have seen or dealt with, or even had to experience. I'll give you an example. Because of my instability at a young age, she went to 4 schools in 6 years. At that point, she said, I don't want to live with you anymore, Mom. That was hard. She said, I want to spend my high school years at my dad's house because someone is always home and I'm not alone. As hard as it was, we agreed. And man, it was hard, guys. It didn't last very long. I ended up getting a job in the same school district her dad lived in. I sold my house, moved 3 hours away, took a 50% pay cut in order to be close to her so we could share custody time. Not even a year later, after we've gotten settled in, both houses, everybody was ready, happy, corporate America took over again, and her dad's position was terminated. So this forced him to move 3 hours back the other direction in the same city that we had already been living in prior to her moving to her dad's. So this meant a freshman in high school, another school, moving in the middle of the school year, leaving any established friendships or life. She was in marching band. We had a repaired but fragile relationship at that point. And mid-year she had to move to a bigger school, 2 times the size as what she was used to. So we all moved. We now all live in the same school district once again. We are now back settled, sharing custody time, making sure she's not alone. We all sat down with her and we said, look, you've got 24 hours to tell us, your parents, how much we screwed up your life. But after that, we don't want to hear about it again. So she took about 15 minutes. She said, you know what? My main focus is the fact that I have both parents that I can go back and forth to anytime I want. And I can be close to my brothers and sisters. And that was what was ultimately important to her over some friends in another high school. She's got new friends now. It's been a couple months, and she's really happy. So we're very happy for her. But the point of this story is, if she can do this at 15, when social pressure is at its highest point at our age level, as adults, there should be no reason why it's not easy to transition for us. Alright guys, so we are going to move on to how we combat and gear up for our fears. What are we going to do to focus on that kind of activity and making sure that moving forward we can unlearn those fears and we can manage those emotions and we can not have to dwell on things for a long period of time. So this is my favorite part. Gear up is the way we prepare for all things we discussed. What are some okay, so here we go. Workbooks. I want you to write down some of the resources that you can use to get rid of those fears. But remember, it's not all about just having all these resources and tools and gearing up. We need to make sure that all of that gear is serviced properly. Just like a soldier in the military. You could have all the gear you need to be successful on a mission. But if that gear doesn't work properly, if we don't service it, if we don't clean it up, if we don't, make sure that it's working and functioning the way it needs to, it's not going to do us any good. So make sure all your tools, through consistent activity, is serviced and prepped and ready to go. All right, consistency is the key to success. Now, have you guys ever read the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? If you haven't, ooh, that shined. I recommend it. Here we go, guys. This is the book. This is one of them that changed my life. I'm going to give you a few tips, okay? In the book, it discusses 21 days is what it takes of consistent activity to turn something into a habit. So 21 days of not doing a habit, guess what you're going to do? You're going to unlearn it. So maybe your habit is eating ice cream every night. That was my habit for the last year. I'm on 3 weeks of a diet where I have not had ice cream. And now I don't crave it. Pretty cool, huh? I've actually lost 13 pounds. Very proud of that. But I've had to do 3 weeks of consistent activity of eating the right choices in order for me to not put myself in a position to fail. 21 days. Give yourself 21 days of any activity. It's okay to miss a day. I promise you it's okay to miss a day. But don't miss 2. We learned that in our breakout session, or our general session in Austin, Texas reunion. One of the speakers talked about how you want to create a chain effect. If there's something that you want to be consistent at, then be consistent at it. But if you miss a day, don't get down on yourself and miss 2 days or 3 days or 4 days because now all of a sudden it's too late. No, miss a day, come back, and don't miss the next day. So, 21 days. All right, so here's the 7 habits of effective people. I'm going to give them to you. We're going to cheat. All right, remember, write this down. Number 1, sharpen the saw. Don't work yourself to death. We all know that. Set timelines, set a schedule, make sure you're having office hours, make sure that your downline respects your personal time as well as your business time. Okay? Be proactive. So, Scentsy gives us the opportunity to know when a limited time offer is coming out. So be proactive in warning your customers. Hey guys, this stuff is coming out. Let's get ahead of it. Let's be proactive. Be productive, right? Begin with an end in mind. I always like to use the term annual sales reward as my example because we know when the end is and we know what the goal is by the end. So when we know that we need 30,000 in sales by April 30th, then we've got the end in mind. We know what the end goal is. But here's the thing. Put first things first. Okay, that's the next one. Put first things first. Okay, so I know the end. I know what I need to do by the end. But first, how am I going to get there? Well, I got to sell 2,500 or 2,800 a month. Okay, perfect. Now I know what my goal is every month, starting from May 1st. Okay? Think a win-win. Same example. Here's the goal, 2,800 a month. But guess what? If I don't do 2,800 a month, or if I don't hit 30,000 by the end of my goal, if I hit 2,000 a month, I still got a 5% bonus every month. So I still won at something. I might not have hit my annual sales goal, but I'm still a winner because I still got the $2,000 PRV per month bonus, the 5% bonus. Okay, seek first to understand, then to be understood. How many times do you have a downline that comes to you and before they get even a chance to say what they got to say, you start to go into something? No, we need to have an ear for our downline. We need to let them speak to us and try to understand where they're coming from. Maybe they have a good point and they can teach an old dog a new trick. Maybe things have changed since you started the business. Maybe Scentsy's compliance rules have changed and you didn't realize it, or you've been in for 8 years and this is how you do it. Well, that doesn't mean that somebody that just joined has to do it the same way. So understand where they're coming from before you try to be understood. Okay? Synergize. So we need to make sure that we're consistently just on sync with everything. All right, guys, a couple more minutes and we'll wrap it up. I want to leave you with this because I think it's very important for you. We talked about the things that helped me get out of my decade of turmoil. We've talked about the 7 habits of highly effective people. Now I'm going to give you 10 habits that will dramatically improve your life. Okay? And these are just known habits. You can Google this. This is information that's out there and available to you. 10 habits that will dramatically improve your life. Stay away from people who erode your quality of life. Stay away from them. They're bad people. They're not helping you. Move on. No more phone, tablet, or computer in bed. That one's hard, guys. I am still trying to do this one. My daughter can do it, though, because I make her. She plugs her phone into the bathroom because then it's not in her face. all night long, and she's not staying up all night long. So, no more phone, tablet, or computer in bed. Give it a try. 21 days. Okay? Appreciate the here and now. We want to be appreciative of the people in our life who are supporting us. Realize that things aren't always as you perceive them to be. I dealt with this recently. Basically, remember that there are always two sides to every story. Don't allow someone to tell you about somebody else before you get a chance or an opportunity to learn who that person is. Okay? So just remember, there's two sides to everybody. Okay? Get organized. We could all use a little bit more organization. Perfect time to get organized, right, guys? Start a collection of things that truly resonate with you. Here you can see in my home, this is a collection of things that resonate with me. This flag was flown in Iraq in honor of my grandpa when I was there. Obviously the service and sacrifice warmer. And then this right here says, say yes to adventures. Say yes to new adventures. Okay? Say no. 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 You guys remember the commercial just recently started airing and the people are on there saying no? Say no sometimes. Keep them on their toes. Keep them guessing. Stick to realistic goals. 2,000 PRV is a realistic goal. I think that pretty much everybody can do that at least 6 months out of the year. If you applied yourself. 6,000 PRV, maybe not so realistic. It's possible, but stick to realism, okay? Get started even though you might fail. It's okay to fail, guys. Edison didn't find one way to make a light bulb. He made 100 ways how not to. So although he failed in a way, he didn't fail because the outcome of those 100 times that he didn't create a light bulb, there were still inventions that came out of that. So there was still success. My daughter told me this, and I want to end with this. You can't go through life without getting hurt 1 or 100 times. So just be prepared, be ready, and manage those emotions as best as possible. We all go through times. We all have them. It's okay. All right, so now what we're going to do is page 17 real quick. And what Scentsy wants us to do is pick 1 or 2 of the CLIMB acronym activities, okay, and write down a plan in your workbook. So maybe you have a fear, maybe you have an emotional event taking place. You came up with some ways to get prepared and then gear up and service those gears. And now you're going to look at these, challenge yourself, learn more, influence others, magnify your talents, skills, and accomplishments. Believe you can do it. Pick a couple of those and put a plan together. 21 days, guys. Focus on 21 days. If you could do it for 21 days, you could do it for 22. You could probably do it for 23. And if you miss day 24, then shoot for day 25. Because I know you guys can do it. I believe in you. I'm so happy you spent some time with me today. Thank you so much. I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon. Please, if you have questions or if you need me, I'm available. I would love to get a chance to chat with some of you. Take care, guys. We'll catch up to you at Reunion. How about that?